Venom and Erase Diabolos Vanguard Bullet were releases that came after two very successful releases, that being Judgment Joker and Zwei. This release doesn't actually stand up to par to those two releases, however it is unique in its own way. So let's discuss it. The brand new Bullet driver has its own set of rules, so here's just a very quick rundown of its rules. Basically, if the body dies and Bullet is still in the game, Bullet is the Beyblade until Bullet gets knocked out or stops spinning. That means that if the opponent stops spinning before Bullet, Bullet wins. If the opponent gets knocked out before Bullet, Bullet wins. If the opposing Beyblade gets bursted and Bullet's still spinning, Bullet wins. So essentially, even if the core dies, Bullet still counts as long as it's still spinning in the stadium. And it is an active piece in the stadium, so no one can just pick it up and remove it. Same with the Beyblade. If the core Beyblade bursts and Bullet is still separated, you can't pick up the core Beyblade's pieces, and so basically the entire Beyblade becomes a revived Phoenix, with Bullet being the only thing that's actually spinning. Interesting thing, still not gonna actually make this thing that usable. Only K in WVO, who is the #1 blader in the world, was able to use this to a varying degree. In my opinion, I don't really think that rule actually saves Bullet. It just makes it a bit more annoying to deal with. The Disc Vanguard is one that I didn't have any hope for, but after seeing it in competitive play for a little bit, I feel like this disc can kind of fight alongside with 00 Wall. Primarily because this is used on bearing combos, and it basically prevents the bearing combo from being knocked out. And it's very efficient at doing that. It also adds some sort of burst resistance, although I don't really feel it working with every single layer base. I feel this being good on Venom, Erase, and Flare. I don't really see it on any other layer base, but I haven't really tried it with many layer bases, but I do know one thing: this thing is very hard to knock out. So if the Beyblade has Vanguard, bearing combo has Vanguard, very hard to knock out. Vanguard, very good disc for preventing knockouts. This set comes with two layer bases, Venom and Erase, with one gacha chip being Diabolos. I have two, so I have both of them displayed here. Now these two layer bases have seen some competitive play, but very little, because they've been outclassed by another layer base that came out the same month. So instead of focusing on the layer base that beats Erase and Venom on Vanguard bearing combos, I'm going to be focusing on this gacha chip, Diabolos. Diabolos is by far the most competitive gacha chip because it's the heaviest and the tightest gacha chip, also because it can be put on any layer base imaginable, aside from Lord. This thing is primarily used on Zwei and Judgment, and that's because it can bring out the best aspects of both of those layer bases without any of the negatives that come with them. This is the most competitive gacha chip because it's the most used. Ever since it came out, it has been used in primarily every single combo that uses Judgment and Zwei, with the Bahamut being kind of swapped in for Zwei, and nothing really being swapped in for Judgment. Here are the two layer bases this set comes with, Erase and Venom. First, we're going to be focusing on the Venom layer base, so I'm going to be moving the Erase layer base aside, and we're going to just look at the Venom base closer up. So Venom has 4 major attack points with 2 tinier attack points on the sides. And it's very light, very hollow, and yeah, it's just, it's basically early gacha syndrome, where they didn't really have gimmicks, it was just shapes again. And although I kind of like it, it's kind of nostalgic for early gacha, it's just not the cup of tea anymore. If you look at the back, we can see it's very hollow, so that's also another minus. It's very hollow, and if it can focus, it's focused. So you can see the only saving grace for this is the fact that these little tabs right here are very thick, which means that they're very tight. So those tabs influence the amount of force you need to unlock a Beyblade. The teeth show how much clicks it has, tabs show how much force. Now Venom was pretty good when it first came out, because it could not only take a lot of hits, it didn't even burst that much. So, and just like Erase. So Erase is like a Longinus, so like a Bloody Longinus, with 1 extra head, I guess. Like that's 5 big heads. And it's also the same as Venom, because it has the same amount of tightness. It's just as tight, just as thick with the tabs, and that makes it pretty darn good. Both of these layer bases, when they first came out, were very meh, like super meh. Their tightness was the only saving grace they had, so they were basically used on bearing combos with Vanguard just to not only prevent knockouts, but to just spin just a bit longer. However, the Flare layer base obviously beats both of these because it actually has a gimmick, that being the metal balls it has. These two do not have any gimmicks, which is very, very bad, because it basically means that these are not going to be as heavy as gimmick layer bases. Now let's go over some quick combos you can try. These are some pretty competitive combos. They were competitive a month ago, no longer competitive because Flare outclasses both of these layer bases. But yeah, anyway, the combo starters are Erased and Venom. Primarily because these two are very, very tight. That means that they can take any hit and probably won't burst that easily. Here are the gacha chips we're going to be using these two layer bases with. Joker for Venom and Fafnir for Erase. These two, in my opinion, are the best gacha chips in their own type. We're not using Diabolos, as this is a third Beyblade combo. Basically, in your deck format, you're allowed to have 3 different Beyblades. No parts can repeat. So this is the third Beyblade that is made of leftover parts, you know. And these two are the best gacha chips for their own spin types. Both of these are going to be using the Sen layer weight, as it is the most balanced layer weight. Both of these Beyblades are going to be using the Vanguard disc, as it is already established that Vanguard prevents large-scale knockouts, and that's something we really, really need for our third Beyblade. Finally, both of these will be running Bearing, as Bearing is another part that can be really good on these Beyblades, as it has the most stamina, and it's also very good on Vanguard. So here is Emperor Fornia's Vanguard Bearing Sen. Now this Beyblade, in my opinion, is used for Spin Steel combo because it's better than Wizard Fafnir in my opinion, because it doesn't burst as easily, and also it doesn't have as much friction as Wizard Fafnir, thus it won't lose to left spin combos that easily, and it can get some nice wall saves. Now, in my own experiences, this has led me pretty far in deck format. I've gone 3-0 in one of my matches, but I did lose that match primarily because I made the dumb decision of switching back over to Judgment, and I'm not really that good at using Judgment, primarily because if I launch too hard, it will just do a self-KO, and getting hit, then self-KO is 2 points, and I just lose the match like that. So yeah, this Beyblade is pretty good. In my opinion, not the best, and definitely not the best anymore, because Flare definitely breaks this Beyblade, obviously because Flare is way better, much more bigger, much more bulkier, much more stable. Venom, Joker, Vanguard, Bearing, Sen is actually not my combo. I'm not going to take credit for it. This combo was made by Colin Lowen, who first showed it off in an event, and I think it was one of his winning combos as well. This combo primarily was very good at wall saving, so basically it survived via wall save, and it was very good. Vanguard really did help with it. Also, I feel that this combo was very, very good in stamina. However, Judgment can easily stop it from spinning really, really quickly. However, this layer base, although it was very good when it came out, again, like with Erased, Flare kind of just outwits it. It's better. Flare is better in all ways because it's heavier, much more bulkier, much more wider, and it has more stamina and is just a bit tighter in my personal opinion. And yeah, so Venom and Erased, both of them were very good layer bases when they first came out. Very meh layer bases in my opinion, but they did pretty well in the 2 weeks that they were competitive. They were used just barely, but when Flare came, they were just all taken down and no one really used them. Some people tried using them earlier on, but after a while, I guess people just forgot these things existed. And I do know for sure that if Beyblade continues for another year, we're just definitely gonna forget that these two layer bases were actually a thing. So yeah, Venom and Erased Diabolos is a pretty decent release. However, it's not a release that you should definitely get. I'm saying that you can definitely skip on this release, because if Diabolos or Venom or any of these parts get re-released in a random booster, it's a much better way than spending $23 on one starter set that isn't really worth that much money to begin with.